Welcome back. This is Mr. Hassan's Maths channel. I'm now answering question number 23 from the specimen paper B of the 2025 new syllabus for the 0580 Cambridge IGCSE exam. This is from the paper 2, the non-calculator paper. And here we have a question involving Venn diagrams and shading. So here we have a Venn diagram which involves 3 circles. And it says, in the Venn diagram, shade the region P, union, Q, complement, union, R, complement. So this symbol here means union. Okay? And with set notation and Venn diagrams, this basically means or. Means that it's like it has the sense of or. Whereas the opposite sign, which is upside down, which is called intersection, has the kind of connotation of and. Okay? Now I like to think of union as Mr. Smiley Face and intersection as Mr. Frowny Face. Right? In this case, we only have smiley faces here. So in this case, union, basically, if something is included and it's all here, all dealing with unions, then you just have to basically include all of these items. So I've got to include all of P. P union Q complement, union R complement. So I've got to include all of P. So I'm going to shade all of P. All of P has to be shaded. Okay, I can ignore the rest of it for now. And then it says union Q complement. So I have to also shade everything outside of Q. So everything outside of Q has to be shaded, but whatever's been shaded from inside Q from before, from this, is going to stay where it is, because this is union, right? It's like smiley. If it's in, it's in. You can't kick it out now. Even though it says outside of Q, I'm going to shade everything outside of Q, okay? But whatever's been included inside of Q before that stays, because it's from the union. Okay, so everything outside of Q has to be shaded as well. So all of this has to be shaded, including this part here. So I'm not looking at the rest of it until I've finished this shading, okay? And then I have to also shade everything outside of R. So everything outside of this circle has to be shaded. So most of it's already shaded apart from this part. It's the only part that's not shaded already. Okay, so now that's everything outside of R shaded, everything outside of Q shaded, and everything inside of P shaded. So the only part left unshaded is this part over here. Okay, we've shaded the region defined by this set notation, these sets, all right? So P, union, Q complement, union, R complement, all right? So if it's union, if it's in, it's in. You can't kick it out again. It has to stay in. That's with union. With intersection, you have to make sure that it's included in both or all of the things that are mentioned for the intersection, okay, which is a slightly different case, right? So you'll see some examples of other cases in the playlist that I will link towards the end of the video, okay, where you've got cases with intersection. But whenever it's union, if it's in, okay? With intersection, okay, then you have to basically, think about, it has to be in both or all of those cases, that is. For example, if it was P, just imagine it was, what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the question just for the purposes of instruction here. I'm going to change the question and then I'll put it back at the end. But supposing the question was P intersection Q complement intersection R complement. Okay, supposing it was this, for example. So it has to be inside P, but it has to be outside of Q, and it must also be outside of R as well. Right? So it has to be inside P, but it must be outside of Q and R. So that in that case, it would be this. This is the only part that's outside of P, and also outside of Q, and also outside of R. And this would also be the same as P intersection Q union R complement. So you can say it has to be inside of P, and it has to be outside of what's in Q or R. That's the same thing. So that's how it would be if this was the question, because it has to be fulfilling all of these conditions. If this is like and, it's very strict. Okay, if it's inside of P, I can't include it until I know that it's also, has to be fulfilling this. So inside of P, I can't include these parts yet until I know that it doesn't fulfill this, and it doesn't, because this is outside of Q, so this part can't be included because it must be outside of Q. And intersection R complement, it must be outside of R as well. So this is how it would be if this was a question. Okay, but the question was not that, the question was this. Okay, this was the question. P union Q complement, union R complement. So when it's union, if it's in, you can't get rid of it. So I'm going to just shade all of P, and then I shade all of Q, or all of outside of Q, sorry, and then all of outside of R, and then I see what's left. And there I have the answer to this question. Okay, so that concludes this question. Other questions from this particular paper can be found in the playlist, which will be linked on the link over here, the playlist here for the rest of the paper. Other questions from the topic of set notations and Venn diagrams from the new specification will be found in this playlist over here. And from the old specification, it will be very much similar. So you will have a link here taking you to the old playlist from the older paid questions before 2025. And you can subscribe to my channel by clicking on this link. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.